Business Math, Chapter 1 to 4. So when we look at the discussion topic for Chapter 1 to 4, there are many topics. And we're just going to go for a couple of topics within each of these chapters. And the first topic that we're going to cover is arithmetic versus weighted average. So the difference between arithmetic and weighted average is that arithmetic average, we have equal weight, and weighted average, we have uneven weight. So if we look at the example, if we were taking the average of 3 and 5, and we're using arithmetic average, what we're saying is that the 3 and the 5 has a weight of 50% each. So what we're going to do is we just take the 3 and then we add the 5 divided by 2 because each of them has a weight of 50%, and that gives you the 4. So 3 plus 5 divided by 2 gives you the 4. So that's arithmetic average. Weighted average is when the numbers have uneven weighting. So in the example I give you, I assume that the weight of the 3 is 67%, is 2 over 3. And I assume that the weight of the 5 is 1 over 3, so 33%. And to calculate the weighted average, what we do is we take the weight and we times it by the number. So we take the 67% and we times it by 3, and then we add the 33%, we times it by the 5. That will give you 11 over 3, which is approximately 3.67. And in real life, what you are going to see most often is the weighted average and not arithmetic average. If you have a stock portfolio, you invest in different stocks. Each stock that you invest, they're not going to have the same weight. They're going to have different weight. So the weighted average is more realistic because it takes into account the situation where we have uneven weighting, which is what we're going to see most often in real life. Example 1. On a trip, a motorist purchased gasoline as followed: 56 liter at $1.18 per liter, 64 liter at 1.265 per liter, 70 liter at 1.236 per liter, and 54 liter at 1.225 per liter. And part 1, what was the average number of liter per purchase? So our first step is to create a table with 3 columns. We have a liter in the first column. In the second column, we have the dollar per liter. And in the third column, we have the total amount per transactions. And in part 1, to calculate the average number of liter per purchase, we're going to take the total liter divided by the total purchase. Okay, so to calculate average is just total divided by total. So we have average number of liter per purchase in the questions. So therefore, we have total liter per total purchase. So total liter divided by total purchase. So average is just total divided by total. Okay, so we have total liter divided by total purchase. And the total number of liters that we have purchased is 244. And the total purchase is four purchases. There are 4 transactions, so 4 purchases. So we take 244 divided by 4, we're going to get 61 liter. And this is an example of arithmetic average because we're assuming that each purchase has the same weight. Each purchase has a weight of 25%. So this is therefore an example of arithmetic average because they have the same weight. Each purchase has a weight of 25%. That's part 1. Part 2, what was the average cost per liter? So to find out the average cost per liter, what we need to do is take the total divided by total. So total cost divided by total liter. And if we look at it from the table, to calculate the total cost, what we're going to do is we're going to first, for each transaction, we're going to times the liter with the dollar per liter. So we get the total cost for each transactions, and then we add them up to get the total cost 299.71. So again, we calculate the total cost for each transaction, and then we add the 4 transactions up to get the 299.71. Once we calculate the total cost, 299.71, we know that the total liter is 244. That was from part 1. So we divide these two numbers. We divide 299.71 divided by 244. We're going to get $1.23 per liter. And this is an example of weighted average. The reason this is an example of weighted average is because for each transaction, we have different number of liter purchased. And as a result, the weight of each purchase is different. So therefore, we have uneven weighting. So that's why we have weighted average. Part 3, if the motorist averaged 8.75 kilometer per liter, what was the average cost of gasoline per kilometer? And in this question, what we're asked to calculate is the average cost of gasoline per kilometer. And to calculate this question, what we need to know is that we're solving for average cost per kilometer. So we're looking for dollar over kilometer. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for dollar over kilometer. So we're going to use the number 8.75 kilometer per liter. And we're going to use the value that we calculated in part 2, the $1.23 per liter. We're going to use those two numbers to help us calculate the answer in part 3. And when we set up the equation, we know that we're looking for dollar over kilometer. So therefore, we want the kilometer in the denominator. Okay, so we have 8.75 kilometer per liter. And because we want the kilometer in the denominator, so that means we have the liter on top. So we have 1 liter over 8.75 kilometer. And then same for the $1.23 per liter. We want the dollar on top because we want dollar over kilometer. So we want the dollar on top. That's why when we put in the $1.23 per liter, the dollar will be on top. So we have $1.23 divided by 1 liter times 1 liter divided by 8.75 kilometer. Because we want the dollar in the numerator and we want the denominator to have the kilometer. And then we know that the liter cancel out. And when we divide these two numbers, so we just take 1.23 divided by 8.75, we're going to get $0.14 per kilometer. That is example 1.